Stories are ahead, but first, church scandals don't just happen somewhere else. They can even happen here in East Tennessee. Good evening, glad you're here for WVLT News at 11. I'm Ted Hall.
And I'm Amanda Hara. Thanks for joining us tonight. Sam Luther explains how a local youth pastor, the man trusted to help guide and teach kids, now faces charges of abusing them.
This small church in South Knox.
We were deceived just like everybody else was.
There's a story Pastor Arnold Green wishes he could forget. Former youth pastor Trent Ivey was arrested and is charged with sexual battery by an authority figure in distribution of material to minors.
You never think about it, in the little smaller congregations, but it really shocked me when it came out.
Police reports on the accusations are sealed since minors are involved. But in a small church, word got to Pastor Green quickly.
He was inappropriate with two young females that I understand.
He says it was a 16 and 18-year-old, both members of the church who claimed their youth pastor had inappropriate contact with them. When confronted,
he just smirked and said it ain't no big deal.
Green says Ivey grew up in the church and trusted him. 6 months before the pastor knew about this, he fired Ivey for insubordination. But it's the not knowing what the youth pastor was accused of doing that has this pastor feeling a little guilt.
In some ways I do, but you trust people till you can't.
Since last year's arrest, the congregation has been cut in half, and the youth pastor's position remains vacant.
It's hard to move on. It's hard to get somebody else to trust.
A church wanting to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Lives have been changed. Lives have been altered. People's been hurt. And, he's going to have to face God for that one day after a while. And if I had anything to tell him, I'd say get ready, because he's going to have to face the Lord one day.
In Knox County, Sam Luther, WVLT News.
Now, we reached out to Ivey for comment yesterday, still have not heard back. He was the youth pastor at Vestal Baptist Church for 2 years before he was fired. He bonded out of jail for $40,000 last year. His next court appearance is in 2024.